कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव।
हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव, हे नाथ
नारायण वासुदेव।
नमः शिवाय, ओम नमः शिवाय। हर हर भोले नमः शिवाय।
नमः शिवाय, ओम नमः शिवाय। हर हर बोल नमः शिवाय।
ओम नमः शिवाय, ओम नमः शिवाय। हर हर भोले नमः शिवाय।
नमः शिवाय, ओम नमः शिवाय। हर हर बोल नमः शिवाय।
ओम नमः शिवाय, ओम नमः शिवाय। हर हर भोले नमः शिवाय।
नमः शिवाय, नमः शिवाय। हर हर भोले नमः शिवाय।
गंगाधराय शिव गंगाधराय।
गंगाधराय शिव गंगाधराय।
गंगाधराय शिव गंगाधराय।
गंगाधराय शिव गंगाधराय।
जटाधराय शिव जटाधराय।
जटाधराय शिव जटाधराय।
जटाधराय शिव जटाधराय।
जटाधराय शिव जटाधराय।
हरे हरे भोले नमः शिवाय।
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 ओम नमः शिवाय, ओम नमः शिवाय। हरे हरे भोले नमः शिवाय।
नमः शिवाय, नमः शिवाय। हरे हरे भोले नमः शिवाय।
ओम नमः शिवाय, ओम नमः शिवाय। हरे हरे भोले नमः शिवाय।
नमः शिवाय, नमः शिवाय। हरे हरे भोले नमः शिवाय।
सोमेश्वराय शिव सोमेश्वराय।
सोमेश्वराय शिव सोमेश्वराय।
सोमेश्वराय शिव सोमेश्वराय।
सोमेश्वराय शिव सोमेश्वराय।
भूतेश्वराय शिव भूतेश्वराय।
भूतेश्वराय शिव भूतेश्वराय।
भूतेश्वराय शिव भूतेश्वराय।
भूतेश्वराय शिव भूतेश्वराय।
हर हर बोले नमः शिवाय।
हरे हरे भोले नमः
Hare Bhole Namah Shivaya.
Hare Hare Bole Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Hare Hare Bhole Namah Shivaya.
Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Hare Hare Bole Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Hare Hare Bhole Namah Shivaya.
Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Hare Hare Bole Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Hare Hare Bhole Namah Shivaya.
Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Hare Hare Bole Namah Shivaya.
Nageshwaraya Shiva Nageshwaraya.
Nandeswaraya Shiva Nandeswaraya.
Nageshwaraya Shiva Nageshwaraya.
Nageswaraya Shiva Nageswaraya.
Someshwaraya Shiva Someshwaraya.
Someswaraya Shiva Someswaraya.
Someshwaraya Shiva Someshwaraya.
Someswaraya Shiva Someswaraya.
Hare Hare Bhole Namah Shivaya.
Hare Hare Bole Namah Shivaya.
Hare Hare Bhole Namah Shivaya.
Hare Hare Bole Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Hare Hare Bhole Namah Shivaya.
Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Hare Hare Bole Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Hare Hare Bhole Namah Shivaya.
Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Hare Hare Bole Namah Shivaya.
Hare Hare Bhole Namah Shivaya.
Hare Hare Bole Namah Shivaya.
Hare Hare Bhole Namah Shivaya.
Hare Hare Bole Namah Shivaya.
Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Sarve santu niramayah. Sarve bhadrani pasyantu. Ma kaschid dukha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Welcome to Satsang. I suffer from a previous breakup. Right now, I'm dating a person who wants to marry me. However, I'm not sure if I love him. For me, love is very important. How to find peace in me, get rid of fear of making a wrong choice, and hear my inner voice clearly regarding my feelings for this man. So, love and fear are two of the most primal and primary driving forces in our lives. And very frequently, like in this question, we find them coming literally at a head with each other. So, she had a previous breakup, now in a relationship with a man who loves her, wants to marry her, but she doesn't know if she loves him, she's afraid of making the wrong decision. All very normal, very natural. Most of us, without possibly the marriage part, most of us have probably been in some variety of a similar situation at some point in our lives. What's important here is that we understand our motivations. Because making any choice out of fear is a choice that leads us farther and farther down a line of contraction. And so if, for example, I am afraid of being alone, if that's a fear I have, I'm afraid of being alone, and I then end up in relationships with people who aren't right, in relationships that pull me off my path. Yes, the relationships are a problem, but the core problem isn't the relationship. The core problem is that I'm making choices in my life based on a fear. Fear of being alone leads me to make all sorts of choices that end up being wrong. And so you've got to go back to the core fear. And this is where it's so important in our lives. And I'm always such a big advocate for introspection and insight to really know, why am I doing things? Because in the vast majority of cases in our lives, the vast majority of the decisions we make, the university I'm going to go to, the job I'm going to have, the person I'm going to marry, the city I'm going to live in most cases, you could pretty much create a really good situation in any of the options. And in most cases, you could create a really bad situation in any of the options. So young people are frequently struggling with, I've got 3-4 universities to choose from. I don't know. This one has got this one has got that. We end up again in our lives, relationship-wise, do I love him more or her more or her more? Who's right? We have it career-wise. Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? And in all of those cases, there really isn't a right or a wrong. But we drive ourselves absolutely batty trying to make those sorts of decisions. Whereas what's much more important than where I go to university or what job I have or who I marry is, what is it that is actually propelling my decisions? What is guiding me toward making those decisions? Is it fear? Is it impulse? Is it programming? Because some of it's cultural. My mom, for example, after she graduated from her master's degree program, wanted to go to the Peace Corps. She really wanted to go to the Peace Corps. But her dad, this was 1950s New York, her dad convinced her that if she took 2 years off and went to the Peace Corps, all the good men would be gone. And that she would have no chance of getting married if she took those 2 years off and went to the Peace Corps, because every good eligible man would have already been scooped up and she'd end up unmarried. So she stayed back. But there's all these reasons that we make the decisions we do. And it's not, again, about whether the decision itself is right or wrong, because there's no objective determinant of that. It's all about how we either expand and blossom, grow and wake up, or contract and stay asleep in those decisions. But it's very important for us to know how we're making the decisions. That's what makes it right or wrong. So making a decision out of fear is not the right way to make a decision. Even if, at the end of the day, it turns out it was a good choice. But you don't want to be guided by fear. You don't want to be guided by somebody else's story, somebody else's fear, somebody else's drama, some cultural, societal norm that says if you're not married now, it's over for you. You're going to be a 26-year-old old maid. You want to make decisions in freedom. And that's the core point, is with this questioner when she says, I don't know if I love him. Well, what's important to look at is, am I afraid of loving him? She begins the question by saying, I just suffered a bad breakup. So, is there really love here in the moment, but my fear of getting hurt is keeping me from loving? In that case, I'd say go for it. Let go of the fear. If there's love, listen to the love, don't listen to the fear. Jump in. But it could go another way. I don't love him, but I'm afraid that if I don't marry him, maybe I won't find another man. Maybe I'll end up alone. Maybe there won't be anyone for me. Maybe this will be my last chance. And in that case, again, you listen to the love, or in that case, lack of love, and you don't do it. So there isn't one right answer for this question, because I can't get in her head to know, or her heart to know, which is guiding it. Is it love for him, but a little bit a shadow of fear? In that case, be guided by love. Always be guided by love. And if there isn't love, still don't let fear drive you. Wait for the love. And this is true, by the way. I know she's asked a very specific romantic love marriage question. But regardless of what decisions we're making in our life, love is a fantastic way to decide. Not the waves of desire, not passion or lust, not drama, but real love. Love for a specific person, love for humanity, love for God, love for Mother Nature, or just love in general. It's a beautiful way to allow yourselves to make decisions. And so if you're ever in a place where you feel like, I don't know what to do, see which way in you love pulls. And again, it may not be romantic love. It may not be, there's a person I love in one of these two cases. But the heart that we have is so magnificent that it's able to love and to experience love, not just for people we're romantically involved with, but it's able to experience love in so many different cases, in so many different situations, for so many different people, things, places, experiences. future generations, manifestations of the divine. So always ask yourself, which direction does love pull me in? Or which direction is fear trying to pull or push me in? Because it's always also a pretty good way to go the opposite. Not in a reckless way, but just to make a commitment that I'm not going to allow my life to be guided by fear. Because then you end up fearful. Sadly and ironically, when we make choices to alleviate fear, it actually just breeds more fear. So we think, oh, I'll do this because I'm afraid of that. But then after doing it, some other fear arises. And then we just keep making decisions out of fear. And our life becomes just outrunning our fears. Which you can't actually do because they're sitting right inside your skull. And so no matter how fast you run or which direction you run in, the minute you stop, you realize, oh my God, it's still inside my head. And so make that commitment. It's a beautiful time. I always love any holiday, any occasion, any opportunity to have an auspicious time to make a change. And making a commitment to move through our lives with love instead of fear is a beautiful commitment. And it may, by the way, it may be love for yourself. It's not always love for something outside, but love for your capital S self, love for your highest, truest self. That's got a much better opportunity in life than to be enslaved by your ego, or to be enslaved by your patterns, or to be enslaved by the fears of other people who may have given birth to you or raised you or been a part of your education or a culturalization when you were young. That love of the self is what grants it freedom. So as we're thinking about New Year's resolutions, it's a good one to make. Because love is the nature of the true self. And so when we talk about experiencing that true self, when you're in tune with love, you're in tune with your true self. And again, this is distinct from lust, passion. See, here's what it looks like. Imagine for a moment, I know we're in an ashram in SATSANG, but nonetheless, just imagine for a moment that you are in the throes of lust, the throes of lustful passion. Now, notice what happens to your mind and your vision. It goes from being broad to being narrow. Suddenly, it's all about gotta have it, gotta have it, gotta have it, gotta have it, need it now, need it now, need it. I mean, that's the voice of lustful passion. Yes, 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 now, 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 need it, need it, need this. It's all about from the expansive to the contracted. The vision becomes very, 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 very narrow. Love is the opposite. Love takes the vision from the narrow to the expansive. So if you're ever wondering what it is you're feeling, just check in internally and see whether inside is there an experience of contraction, or is there an experience of expansion? Is there an experience of manic hyperness? Gotta be now, gotta be now, gotta be now, gotta be now. Or an experience of universal perfection. Just the perfection of the present moment. Because love is content to wait. Love isn't in a hurry. Love is able to love even when nothing happens. Love just is. Lust, passion need something to happen. Love just is. And so when we talk about making decisions based on love, it's important to understand that distinction, because otherwise you end up being driven by impulse, driven by instinct, driven by desire, driven by things that we end up later regretting. Whereas love drives us out of expansion and oneness and connection and perfection. So allow that to be what guides your decision. And if there isn't a path in this moment that feels that it's being pulled by love, that's okay. Maybe it's not a time that you need to move anywhere. Maybe it's a time of stillness. Maybe it's a time of quietness. Even nature, fields have fallow times. Times of the earth regenerating itself. Apple trees don't give apples 365 days a year. And same thing with ourselves. We drive ourselves like out of one relationship into the next, out of one job into the next, even if we don't necessarily need it to put bread on the table. It's all about, what am I doing? What am I achieving? What's my identity? Who am I if I'm not in a career, in a relationship? So we drive ourselves in this one after the other, after the other, after the other. But if there isn't a pull of love within, it may just be your own self's way of saying, right now, let that love be love for self. And maybe it's just a time of quietness. And when the heart is open, you'll feel it pulled. You'll feel it pulled very soon, because that's its nature. Are there any questions that anyone here has? I'm happy to take them before taking any of these others. Yes, sweetness.
Why some days are harder than others?
Why are some days harder than others? So it's a beautiful segue actually from the last question, because in our lives we expect, both on an outer level and an inner level, that we're just going to keep producing, keep achieving, keep attaining, and if I'm on a spiritual path, I'm just going to keep getting higher and higher and higher in a constant trajectory up. But nature doesn't move like that. There are rainy days, sometimes from the sky, sometimes from our eyes. There are sunny days, there are so many different seasons. Now we may have a preference. We may love summer and hate winter, or vice versa. But nature doesn't care. Nature doesn't say, oh, you don't like winter? Oh, no problem, we'll just skip it this year. Oh, is it too hot for you? Oh, so sorry, let me bring you some snow in July. We'll take care of that heat right away. Nature doesn't care. It's just the nature of nature. It's hot when it's hot, and it's cold when it's cold, and it rains in the rainy season, and it's dry in the dry season. And we were able to accept that. And again, sure, we may have preferences, but most of us don't really expect the weather to do our bidding, and that if we stand outside thrashing our fist at the clouds, that they're actually going to go away. But within us, over the seasons of our lives, we're much less compassionate and accepting. And if we've had very productive seasons of our lives, fruitful, literally, seasons of our lives, we're not very compassionate when that season shifts. And in the same way, when we have a day, maybe it's a memory, maybe it's an anniversary, maybe any one of 1,000 things happened that day, and it throws us off. But here's what's beautiful, is our spiritual path gives us the tools back. And so sure, we may find ourselves off a little bit, but we're able to bring ourselves back. So it's like, for example, if you find that you've got a really weak immune system and you're getting a cold every month or so, and then you get onto a good health regime. Maybe you start some naturopathy program or Ayurveda program, some really good systemic strengthening program, not just pills for symptoms, but something really that strengthens your body and improves your immune system. Well, it doesn't mean that you're never going to catch a cold. But what it means is that when you do, or if you happen to be around somebody who's sneezing and coughing and you feel that little tickle in the back of your throat the next day, that two things are there. Number one, you've developed a strong enough internal immune system that chances are you're not going to get as sick as you would have gotten before. But also that you now have tools to help you bounce back quicker than you used to. So where maybe before all you had were over-the-counter chemical symptom alleviators, but now you actually have a whole treasure chest of natural healing remedies, of ways to bring the system back into balance. So you actually are able to come back into balance quicker. And the same thing is true emotionally. That emotional resilience, that emotional immune system, you could say. Again, it doesn't mean that we don't have moments that are weepy, or moments that we're frustrated, or moments that we're not as grounded as we'd like to be. But A, they're fewer and farther between. B, they're shorter lasting. And C, we have tools. We know what works. We've got a whole treasure chest of our meditation, our japa, our seva, our programs, whatever it may be. Maybe it's art, maybe it's music, maybe it's writing, maybe it's poetry, maybe it's a walk, maybe it's gardening. Who knows what it is? But we've developed, through our spiritual practice, we've developed a tool chest. An immune boosting, emotional immune boosting tool chest. So, okay, weepy day. What tools do I have? Well, first of all, there's nothing really wrong with a weepy day. Maybe for whatever reason, that's just what the day is supposed to be. You loved. And when the one we love is no longer in our physical plane of existence, it makes us weep. Nothing wrong with that. It's beautiful. It means we've loved. So tears in and of themselves are not bad. Nothing wrong with tears. But if there's distress, if there's a sense of I no longer want to feel like this, well, I have a toolbox. I know what to do to help reground myself. It's like, it's a rainy day. Well, all right, once I've lived through enough rainy days, I understand the concept of this great thing called an umbrella. And so it doesn't mean that I don't go out, it doesn't mean I don't live, but it means that I now understand, okay, today's going to be a rainy day. I have a toolbox, and that toolbox has got an umbrella in it, and I'm going to be sure to grab it on my way out the door. And on the emotionally difficult times, we have toolboxes. Our spiritual connection, our connection with the community, our service. Again, so many other different ways of connecting to ourselves, to the universe, to God that we have. And we use them to remind us that even though that person is no longer with us, we're not alone. B, to remind us that that love that we experience for that person is actually still there. Even though that person isn't there, the love still is there, and we're able to ground ourselves in the love. And lastly, we're able to realize that even though they're not here physically, their soul, their spirit, their essence is here. And so we're able to just be with them in joy. Yeah. One of the beautiful practices is just awareness. Rather than judgment, rather than why is it like this. Just, okay. Weepy day. Like we look out the window and we say, okay, rainy day. Not, what can I do to make that damn rain stop? Again, we know, nothing. Nothing I can do to make the rain stop. And we know that. So we look out the window, we say, rainy day. Or, sunny day. Or, snowy day. Oh, my apple tree's giving apples. Oh, my apple tree's not giving apples. Okay, again, screaming at it isn't going to change that. Can't scare the apple tree into producing apples in the wintertime. So that same level of just awareness that we have for the natural world, can we have it for ourselves? All right. Weepy day. Okay. So be it. Without judgment, without labeling, without wishing it to be something different. Yeah. Are there any other questions? Yes.
How to face death happily?
How do you?
How to face death happily?
How to face death happily. Live your life happily. What makes death so sad and scary for those who are dying? Those who are staying behind, of course, have a different problem, which is I'm going to miss this person. But the one who's dying, that fear, that sadness, that lack of happiness are due to, oh my God, it's over. Or it's almost over. I haven't done enough. I haven't done what I wanted to do. I've wasted time. I've made a mess. And the thing is, because we're all going to die and we know that, it's a really good idea to start living with that awareness. That if I know, okay, I'm going to die a week from now, or a month from now, or 6 months from now, how am I going to live? How am I going to live differently? Now, not all of that can be applied to our daily lives. So for example, if you knew you were going to die in a week, chances are you wouldn't bother making life insurance payments or fire insurance payments, or, buying a cheap airplane ticket 6 months in advance to go away for the holidays. But aside from those things, a lot of the decisions that we would make, knowing that we only had a short time to live, are actually the same decisions that we really should be making every day. And so, for example, if you knew that you only had a week to live, and somebody came and said, did you know that those people across the street got a new car, and it's so much nicer than your car, and I don't know how they're able to afford it? Would you care at all? Even a little bit? I mean, if you know you've got a week to live, are you going to care even a tiny bit about what anybody else is driving or wearing or earning or doing, or with whom they're doing it? I mean, if someone comes to you, you've got a week to live, and somebody comes to you and says, do you know, I heard at the water cooler today at the office that so-and-so went out last weekend with so-and-so, but such and such doesn't know. Would you care? You'd be like, Eddie, shut up already. Like, I only got a week to live. I don't need to hear this stuff. Let me go back to chanting God's name. Let me go back to feeling love in my heart. Let me go back to meditating. Like, really, you want to waste time in the last week of life thinking about who's saying what to whom and who's going out with whom? And really? Of course not. So those are very good ways of living the rest of our life. Ask yourself, when things come up in your mind, ask yourself, if I only had a week to live, would I care about this at all? Would this bother me at all if I knew I only had a week to live? So-and-so said this about me. Who cares? So-and-so got ahead without even working. They cheated. I worked. They got a promotion, but I was the one who worked harder. If you were dying, you'd be like, bless them. Just bless them with the promotion. Let them have it. My cup runneth over. And then if the doctor said to you, oh, guess what? Good news, you're not going to die. You still would not turn around and say, oh, well, then give me that promotion for God's sakes. So it's not a matter of you're dying in a week so you don't need it. It's a matter of when you think you're dying in a week, that sense of really what you need is very different. You really distill life to its essentials. And so the only way to face death happily is to know that you've really lived. Because otherwise it's like having somebody take away your plate of food before you even start eating. Like having somebody clear away an empty plate of food isn't so sad. Your stomach is full. You've really enjoyed. But having somebody take away a full plate of food before you even start eating, when your stomach is empty, well, that's very hard to deal with. And so live your life in a way that when death comes, It's not like somebody's snatching away a full plate of food that you haven't bothered to be taking in. Love life, embrace life. Use every minute and every moment you have to be of service, of sharing, of giving. Because the only other way to face death happily is to know how much of you lives on. And what lives on is just the way that you've impacted people around you. It's all that lives on. You can build as many monuments as you want in your name, but it doesn't really keep you alive. The only thing that really keeps you there is the impact that you've had on people. The way that you've contributed to this earth. So you live your life in such a way that, obviously death is never really happy. Unless you're very sick and suffering and it's just sort of the end of a horrendous time of suffering. But even then it's not happy, because people in that situation are always hoping and thinking maybe there'll be a miracle, maybe they'll get some cure. But it's not that you're happy to die, it's that you are happy living, and therefore when death comes, you will also be happy. It's not, oh, I'm so happy to die. It's, I'm so happy, period. And while I'm living, I'm happy, and I'm experiencing my life and giving and serving and really understanding the value of every minute, not letting little things bother me and throw me off, and not getting hit around like a ping pong ball, but really grounded and really centered and really clear, such that when death comes, I'll be happy. Not because I'm happy to die, but because I'm happy, period. And so I'll be able to make that transition in the same state that I've lived in. Also faith. Because if there's no faith, then death is just into an absolute unknown, a void, a nothingness. And inevitably that's scary, right? I mean, fear of the unknown. If I don't know what it is and it's dark and it's nothing, well, yeah, that's scary. But if I've got a faith in the universe and I've got a faith in God by any name, any form, it doesn't matter. It's like, if you've ever been in a swimming pool, but especially, a pool with kids, if you don't have your own kids, but you've been in a pool with kids, and what you see are when little kids are learning to get in the water. Typically what you have is the parent, the mom or the dad, is standing in the water, and the little kid is right on the side of the pool, and the mom or dad has their arms like this, and they're saying to the kid, jump, jump. And the kid's like, ah, and the parent says, jump, jump, it's okay, I'll catch you. And finally, after lots and lots of coaxing, and the kid runs back and forth, and finally, the kid takes that leap into mom's arms or dad's arms. And once they do, once they leap and they're caught, they're so excited that they can't wait to get out of the pool and try it again. And then they want to just keep jumping and jumping and jumping until mom or dad says, okay, enough, my arms are tired, we'll do more later. And this is how life works. If you can learn to jump in life, if you can learn that God's arms, and again, it doesn't matter what your religion is, it doesn't matter how you conceive of the divine, by a name, a form, nameless, formless, a presence, whatever it is. But if you understand that there is a presence, and a presence of love and caring in the universe, of goodness in the universe, and you learn to jump into that in life, then death is just another jump. It's just another close your eyes and jump, knowing that on the other side you're going to be caught. But if you haven't developed that faith in life, it's very hard to develop it on your deathbed. Not impossible. People do have spiritual transformations on their deathbed, but it's much easier if you can develop it while you're living. And then it carries you into that transition. Have a beautiful rest of your evening. And we'll see you all tomorrow. And if you have a